Cool. We're back. We're back at it. Boom. Okay. Yeah, we're back at it, and it is. Was it Friday? Yeah, Friday, 25th April. And what did I want to talk today? Yeah, I kind of wanted to just reflect this week, what happened this week, as well as sort of like where I am career-wise, where I'm heading, and just reflecting on the journey so far. So first of all, this week I had my interview with Ralph Lauren. So this position that I interviewed for is a intern. So it's for a digital visual merchandising role. Such a long title, but it's basically a visual merchandiser. So a visual merchandiser is the one that sort of plans out how the windows would look like in a store, in a brick and mortar store. So how the window display is, how you would curate the products on the shelves and whatnot. But obviously, this is a digital visual merchandiser role, meaning you are curating how the products will look like on the e-commerce website. So I think actually, I thought it went well. The funny thing is, the person interviewing me, the lady, she's basically around my age. Turns out we went to the same uni in Cardiff University and shared the same building. So I studied architecture, she did journalism, and in Cardiff Uni, those two shared those courses shared the same building, so Butte building. So yeah, we were just bonding over that, connecting with that. And the funny thing is, I low key already knew because you have to be meticulous with these things. So I already like sort of did my research on LinkedIn and saw that she actually went to Cardiff Uni. But then I was gonna bring it up first, like planning to bring it up, but she brought it up first. So I was like, okay, cool. We broke the ice with that, and then I just went about talking about my sort of unorthodox experience into fashion and how most of my experiences were from small scale or independent sort of practices, and how I have I have the foundational skills there already, but obviously not having a fashion academic background, and saying how although I'm at a stage where I'm more of like a midweight designer, but this position isn't really essentially, it's not a design role, it's a more of a creative, more towards the e-commerce side of things, which for me I prefer, because like I mentioned before, I don't really want to do a design or create a designer role, because I do enough designing, as you can see, for myself, for Galanacci, for Pioneers of Greatness, and any other creative venture that I'm doing. And also, it's a thing about always wanting to design or do design work where I'm in control. So doing design work for someone else, for another company, this and that, isn't really something that I seek out for unless it's client work. I mean, there's certain people, certain individuals, certain companies, blah blah blah. If opportunities come, I would happily do a design with them, a collaboration, whatever. But in terms of like a 9 to 5 corporate day job, is not something I aim to even have. Because now it could be back then, I probably would have seeked those roles because I really wanted my skill set and passion for design and that sort of field to merge with my day job. But now, 5 years later, I've sort of just developed a different sort of outlook perspective, and I have my purpose laid out, and I know what I want to be doing, and I know what I don't want to be doing. But yeah, no, interview went well. Got to know a little more about the role that I applied to, the intern role. And the good thing is, with that intern role, there's opportunities for me to grow into an assistant role and then obviously move up the seniority level, depending on how long it takes for me to build pioneers of greatness, because that's what I'm going to be building mainly from here on outwards. Depending on how long that takes to blow, then I'm going to make sure I have a sustainable day job. And that's one of the things that I sort of, I mean, it's common sense, but you don't know what you don't know. And that's sort of the things that I've realized throughout my journey, from pivoting from architecture, having a architecture role, day job, and then trading that stability to go then pivot into fashion, find my sort of career path route, and then trying to build my own brand for my own, sort of like from the ground up, and then realizing, yeah, no, it is difficult already enough to build a business, and it's even more difficult to build a business if you do not have any capital to invest. And during that time, or even till now, up until now, I don't really have a stable sort of day job that's funding the business. So it's very difficult to move and grow your, I mean, you can grow it, right? But obviously real life responsibilities, when you're around towards or nearing the end of your 20s, you're going to really feel the real life responsibilities. You got to really be more accountable, whether it be your finances, relationship, and just your future outlook, business. You got to do what's necessary so that your business thrives, your relationship is going good, that your finances are in check. And those are the things that I'm sorting out now after 5 years of just like, doing my own thing and seeing results, right? Seeing results in small pockets, but never really being able to scale those successes. So until then, I'm going to be, going back into a 9 to 5 role. Actually, I'm starting a customer service bar role this coming Monday while still job hunting, because ideally I'd like to have a corporate role. And if I'm going to a corporate role, I would like it to be in a big company. Because if I'm going to be working a 9 to 5 corporate role, it better be something that I could be proud of doing. And Ralph Lauren, that's a huge fashion house. I will not mind working at a Ralph Lauren as a 9 to 5. Because it's a huge cultural brand. Everyone knows about it. And business wise, the things I'll learn being within that company, it will just 10x sort of the knowledge I have for building pioneers of greatness, building Galanacci, and all those things. Especially in the digital age, the role being a digital visual merchandiser, it's going to be a lot of that e-commerce side, digital aspect, and that's sort of where I want to be really. Because any other roles, especially with the way AI is moving around this time. Things are moving into that sort of digital space a lot more faster, and I'd always like to be at the forefront of those things, especially with the AI stuff. I use that pretty much every day with my sort of creative workflow, and I'm that person who's very open-minded. I try these new tech, to see how I can incorporate them into my processes. I never shy away from them. I'm never afraid that, oh, it's gonna take my role as a creative or this and that. Just that's just like some sort of scarcity talk. I'm a person who can always sort of pivot and adapt. That's why I've been able to go from architecture to fashion and then to entrepreneurship and then going back into the corporate world. But yeah, no, the journey has been crazy. Like if you told me, if I went back into the future, right? 10 years from like 10 years from now when I was 18, and I told them, yeah, you're not going to be doing architecture. You're going to be building a fashion brand, and you're going to be, doing anything and everything to sort of navigate and find your way. And then if I do land the Ralph Lauren intern role, then imagine telling my 18-year-old self, be like, yeah, 10 years from now, you're going to be working at Ralph Lauren as an intern. Like the fuck? But yeah, no, it's been crazy. Been a crazy ride. Especially, man, like I've taken on so many risks for my career, career wise. So when I was 18, well, I sort of dealt with a lot of risks. So when I was 18, year 12, studying my A levels, so the first year of A levels, I fucking fucked. I fucked it, I failed the year. But the thing that came out of that, I was able to study design tech, art together, which if I hadn't failed the year, I wouldn't have been able to do, because there wasn't enough people applying during the first year of my year 12 for art for it to be run as a course. But things align for a reason that you will only know in hindsight. And also during that time, I was obviously a year behind. When I did sort of start applying for what I want to do for uni, I looked into architecture, and architecture isn't even a thing that I'm interested in. Like, I have zero interest in buildings. But obviously, just growing up in an Asian household, there are certain expectations that you want to live up to, especially being eldest of four. It's been ingrained in my mind that I have to set expectations. So architecture is one of those roles or sort of career path that I decided that I should choose, because at A, I was good at art. A, I was just naturally creative, and B, just I can draw. And before even going to uni, I remember my art teacher, because I obviously told her that, I want to do architecture. She gave me the advice to do a foundation year first, because I don't know anything about architecture. So obviously she was just like very wary of me, because obviously she wanted the best. She was actually one of the best art teachers I ever had. Like, she's the one who sort of really opened my mind about art. Like, yeah, this is dope. Like, she exposed me into making canvases to paint on and whatnot, and really fostered my natural skills in the arts. So she had my best intentions. She was advising me to take a foundational year, especially because I wanted to get into UCL. Back then in 2016, that was the very top uni for architecture. But I didn't listen. I didn't listen to her. I decided to just go straight and apply. And I failed to get UCL, but I did get managed to get an interview with them. But just because it's super competitive, and it probably reflected that I do not have much sort of experience or even interest in architecture, because you have to come in there with your portfolio, and my portfolio did not have any sort of building or architectural projects in it. It was just purely art and design technology. So I didn't get it, and I always wanted to study at UCL so that I can, you know, study in a London uni. But things happened for a reason. I ended up going to Cardiff, which was still in the top three. And funny thing is, my brother ended up, what do you call it? It wasn't a uni that he chose, but he went through clearing. So we both went into Cardiff University together, and that's where I sort of got my architecture, my very first sort of exposure to architecture. Which is funny because when I first went in there, there were people that were really into this. Like they knew their architecture already, and me, I couldn't even name one architect. That's how like so far off I am in terms of being interested in the course that I chose, that I didn't even know. I couldn't even name an architect. But choosing that course made me, or taught me the very foundation, not even the foundation, but develop my design foundation. I mean, I've already got my foundation through design tech, through my A levels. Oh, even with that, the DT stuff, that's even another risk. Because I just remember now that I took DT despite not doing DT at GCSE. Because usually people would carry on DT from GCSE into A levels, but for me, I never chose it for GCSEs. I did art. So even me choosing DT alongside with art back in A levels was already a risk. Like I put myself at a risk where I could have even failed another year. But I made things happen. I'm just naturally good at designing and being creative. So I passed all of that. And then yeah, in architecture, Cardiff Uni, I met some great people, made some good friends, still friends with them now, almost 10 years later, even becoming a best man at seeing two of my good mates back from uni getting married and shit like that. And from in uni, I had ups and downs with architecture, almost failing second year. I was always like doing other things, like other projects, side projects, instead of like doing architecture. I was painting on denim, I was sewing, I was collaborating with my good friends to start a fashion brand. Just all this other shit, barbering, man. I was cutting hair as a side hustle. And then here comes graduation day. I end up graduating with a 2.2, which something I wasn't proud of because I worked super hard at my last year in order to, get at least a 2.1, but got a 2.2. So I was very disappointed. And then that's when I decided, you know what, fuck this. Let me redeem myself and let's try and land a job ASAP, like an architectural firm, like an architectural assistant job as soon as possible. So I didn't really waste no time. I just did up my portfolio and then started sending 200 applications in total. And then next thing you know, 3 interviews later, I got 2 offers, and then I chose one, accepted one, and then boom, literally less than a month, I locked the job. And then yeah, I graduated, I think June time. And then August, I was already working. So it took me a month to find and accept an offer, and then 2 months to from the day I graduated to start working at that firm. And then I was there for a year. I thought I was going to be an architect because I sort of liked the whole allure of being called an architect, because it sounds very, it's an elite profession, but the pay or salary for it is not elite. That's when I was like, yeah. And in terms of creativity, I wasn't being fulfilled. I felt very sort of drained of my creativity, to the point where I'm like, yeah, I had to reflect real hard. Good thing it was just like a placement year. Actually, I even wanted to extend my workplace my placement for another year, but COVID happened, and then they started laying people off. So they denied my extension for another year. So then, obviously, even then, to be honest, during that 1 year placement, I was going to continue studying architecture and try again to apply at UCL, because my Cardiff course was actually 5 years. I did my first 3 years, which is the undergrad, and then I dropped out after. Yeah, I dropped out because you have to drop out, because it was a 5 year course. Because I wasn't not gonna return, because I was gonna go and try and apply for UCL and see if I could go in there as a part two, because I completed my part one. Even doing that was a risk. Like, how did I know that I was gonna go into UCL? Like, I could have just kept my Cardiff thing instead of dropping out, but I dropped out anyways. And I did, and then 1 year later, completing my 1 year placement, I realized, yeah, architecture is not for me. I quit. I fully quit, so I didn't decide to apply for part two in a different uni, or even continue working in an architecture firm, or look for a new architecture firm to work for. I was like, fuck it. I didn't have no plan. I just went with my gut. I went back into creating, just being artistic again. Artistic. Sounds like I'm saying autistic. And less than a year, I sort of found out what I really wanted. I wanted to create, man. I wanted to build things. I wanted to make things. And this is where it sort of started to, like, the path became clearer, like what I wanted to do. And for us, at one point, my gut told me, yeah, let's try fashion. I might not have any connections, but let me start with drawing, because I'm already good at drawing. Let me illustrate some fashion looks, and then do my own, like, sort of take on them. I did that for a month, sent it through, sorry. I posted it on my IG with the hopes of sort of attracting someone in the fashion industry. And little did I know, I sort of attracted someone who had a brand, a streetwear brand already, and he was already doing his thing. Shout out to Yeboah. So back then, this was 2020. I think he got a cease and desist for Saint London, which was his streetwear brand prior. He was because his logo looked like an NFL logo, so the NFL shut him down. And during this time, he was fuck, my Filipino accent came out of there. He was conceptualizing his namesake luxury streetwear brand. And he obviously saw my illustrations and decided to reach out to me in my DMs, and he wanted to work. He had the vision. I knew how to illustrate the vision, the concepts, and then boom, next thing you know, 2 years in, working for Yeboah, we collaborated with COS, the Swedish house fashion brand, debuted a 45-piece collection at the Tate Modern, and also released the collection globally in America, Europe, Asia. Took over the flagship store of COS in Regent Street, and boom, from not having any fashion experience to experiencing 0 to 100 within the whole sort of fashion scope of things, And that's when I sort of even decided where things became even more clearer, where I was like, yeah, I really want to build my own brand. And that's when I decided, yep, I'm gonna leave, man. So I quit Yeboah and gave it a go, building my brand for the next year, freelancing, taking on client work to fund Galanacci. But shit was tough. Shit was hard, man. It's hard to build, like I said, if you do not have any capital, you don't have stable income. I mean, it did make me really work with what I had instead of focusing on what I didn't have. I did what I can, but now I was becoming more mature with my perspective of life and sort of feeling this pressure of, yeah, you're almost in your 30s now, like you need to take you can still take risks, but you got to take calculated risks now, because back in my early 20s I was taking risk, but they weren't really calculated. So now I'm being more calculate with my risks. So that's why I'm like, you know what, I need a day job, even if it means I have to grab a customer service bar or working in a bar role in order to fund what I'm trying to build, and at the same time applying for corporate roles within the fashion industry, because I still want to work within the fashion space. Because for me, I need to learn how a fashion business is run, how things move, especially within an established fashion brand. Because going back to what I said, you don't know what you don't know. And I've been seeing so much shit online, right? Of people starting a brand and then making mistakes left and right, losing a lot of money because, man, they had no prior experience. They didn't intern at anywhere. They didn't work for anyone that was even like within a startup. So these people starting brands here with zero fucking experience, and I would say it's stupid, man, because it's already a saturated space. And if you really want to make it out, man, you gotta at least have some experience, either designing or even just how a fashion how, how a fashion brand even functions. Because if you don't, man, forget about it, man. Forget starting a fashion brand. Like it's fucking hard, and it's even harder when you have no fucking experience. Bearing in mind, there are, see, the people that made it work without much fashion experience are the ones who had like a design background. You got the Virgils, you got Ruigi, you got Samuel Ross. Although they didn't have a fashion background, they were surrounded by fashion and they were designers. in a sense. Like they had some sort of design education. And there's literally people out there and seeing on social media that no fucking background in design or fashion starting brands. Like, bro, get some fucking experience, man. Get a short course. Shit like that, you know? I mean, I'll give some grace for those who use it as sort of a starting point and then, you know, they start to figure out things. And but the thing is, you have to seek this knowledge, you know? You can't just, oh man. I literally saw a TikTok video. This woman started a fashion brand. She lost so much money, and then she was complaining. She was basically pointing fingers, but then in my mind, I'm like, bro, like you're the one. It's your fault because you had zero experience in designing or fashion. How the fuck do you think you're gonna build a brand? That's why I'm like, if you're gonna start a brand or fashion brand, get some fucking experience first, man. Cause you're gonna find out like shit. 10,000 pounds down the drain. I have nothing to show for, bruh. But yeah, kind of went off on a tangent there with the little rant. But yeah, no, I'm fucking humble enough. Even I'm almost in my 30s, right? I'm humble enough to fucking start from the bottom as an intern. Like you give it time, time will always filter out who takes things seriously. And I know I take things seriously. And it's only a matter of time until I catch a break when things in terms of my fashion brand or my entrepreneurial venture catches a break, and then it becomes this self-sustaining business, so that then I can quit the 9 to 5, you know? Now I have an exit strategy, and back then I didn't. It was just pure intuition, sort of, how could I say this? Like ballsy moves because I was young and I had the time to fuck around. But now that I'm approaching my 30s, you just gotta, you know, straighten up, be more calculated with your decisions and risk taken and shit. But yeah, I'm fucking excited for what lies ahead, because it takes a minimum 10 years in order to really see what you've been building. And I've been building for 5 years now. Well, it took 5 years to understand what I really wanted. So in reality, my 10 years starts now. Now, 10 years from now, when fuck, I'll be 40 because I'm 28 right now. So yeah, when I'm 38, that's when I'm going to see the actual vision I have for myself now. It's going to manifest 10 years from now. And then that's when I'm going to see, yeah, that's where it began, man. 2025, that's when I knew how to move. And then now it's 2035. It's here, man. Boom. I'm doing what I always dreamed about 10 years ago. Because 10 years from now, I wasn't even dreaming about shit, man. I was 18. All I knew was I wanted to go to uni and study architecture and then make a name as an architect. That's what I had in mind. Like I always wanted to make a name for myself. That was the thing, the main thing. Now, building my own brand, that's making a name for myself, you know? Because I have something to show for. I have something that I designed and then brought to life. And yeah, I can't wait for the next 10 years starting from now. Woo! What this thing is, building a business, is just about longevity. How long can you stay consistent with materializing your vision? Because a lot of this shit is very repetitive. A lot of this shit is long. A lot of this shit is monotonous. And a lot of this shit takes time. Some people can't even wait 1 week. But I'm different. I know I'm different, man. I've felt that I'm different ever since I was young. Like, you just feel it, man. It's intuition. And I'm lucky enough to be able to realize that, to even know my purpose, my direction, even having a vision. And now it's just about executing. And you see this shit here behind me? That's all from my mind, the vision. That's just one part of it. This is Galanacci behind me. Oh, sorry. This is Galanacci behind me. Like, this ain't even Pioneers of Greatness. I have Pioneers of Greatness there at the back, where I have like samples and shit. Oh yeah, see, that's Galanacci. Galanacci is like for the future. That's luxury. That shit requires a lot more money than Pioneers of Greatness. So yeah, man, fuck, man, I can't wait. I actually can't wait. Like, I've taken so much risks to the point where now I'm like, cool, we're taking calculated risks now. And man, I've been rambling on. It's almost an hour. But yeah, I think that's a good reflection of my journey so far and where I want to head. But yeah, man, I'll see how the Ralph Lauren thing goes. The thing is with me, yeah, when an opportunity comes like this, I already see myself there for 5 years, and then I'm like already living it, you know. So I've already seen how my life could have looked like within 5 years of being in that company. But I need to detach myself from that, because maybe it's not for me. Maybe it is. Only time will tell. And I'll just update this when I hear back from them. But other than that, I'm just gonna keep it locked, keep working towards my vision, my goals, my dreams, and documenting everything, man. Because when I watch this 10 years from now, I'm gonna be like, yeah, this motherfucker knew. That's me, man. I'm done. I'm out. Peace.